Hello, hello. Come on in. It is freezing in New York. So when I was wearing this sweater and I thought to do this live and get my hot coffee, I was like, I'm looking like a lunatic. It's like almost June. What am I doing wearing a thick sweater, right? So I was like, am I crazy? Should I go check the weather? I have a heater on my floor. So I went to check the weather and it's 47 degrees in New York. Okay, it's supposed to be 72 at least. And I'm cold. So I had this whole battle in my mind that how can I go on live wearing this cozy sweater that I've been wearing all morning? And I was like, what'll people think? They'll think I'm crazy. So just shiver a little bit and put on the house heater and you'll be fine. And then I realized that look how I'm like so caught up in what you will think about me when it's really cold. I even went to check the weather, that I'm not crazy. So Toronto had 2 days of snow. So that's what this book is about, really, is live your truth already and stop worrying about what people would think. And I'm like, but on my Instagram block, it will look so weird if somebody checked that, what is she doing wearing a sweater in June? You know what I mean? So this is how insane my mind can get, and I know your mind can get too. And then I had to realize, what is the message of this book? The message of this book is to be true, to be powerful, to be in your own knowing. And whatever the knowing is, it doesn't matter how it looks. Everyone's like, it's freezing, it's freezing, it's freezing, right? It's freezing. Yes. And I'm like, I don't know whether to heat the whole house because that's such a ridiculous thing to do in June. So I'm having like a huge internal conflict. So I've just been wearing socks and boots but this is what this book is about. So a lot of people have begun reading it. This book is not going to be an instant bestseller book because you have to read it. And it's going to change you and it's going to transform you. This is a life-changing book. It's a transformative book about coming into your own power. So I encourage you to go grab it. It's allowed me to come into my power. It's allowed me to live freely and not be worried about what people think and how people will view me, because it's about accessing your inner power, accessing your greatest knowing. And when you really begin to deconstruct your beliefs, you begin to realize that the idea that somebody else's opinion matters, I'm sorry to talk like that, is a lie. Sure, you can take feedback. Sure, you can consider. Surely there are teachers out there that you can listen to and your friends that you can talk to. But at the end of the day, the inner knowing that you have can only be accessed by you. Only you can direct your day. Only you can direct how you feel about your day. The power for how you feel your emotional experiences cannot depend on anyone or anything on the outside. But this world is set up for the opposite. The world is set up for you to care about how everything looks on the outside. Who's going to grab a copy of their book right now while I'm talking to them? So the world is set up for us to not know and not rely and not trust on our inner knowing. So Kanik says, we want to hear the chapters from you. Lakia says she's on chapter 5, Deconstructing Patterns. Who's been reading this book? Yolanda says her book is on the way. So this book, the entire book really is premised on you discovering and owning and celebrating your inner knowing. Because once you, Isabel, are you reading the last chapter? Life-changing. The Insight Changer. Yes, leave a review on Amazon or Goodreads. Laura bought the book yesterday, and the cover is beautiful. Ashley has a book already. Can you guys hear me? Somebody said they can't hear me. If you can't hear me, put the volume higher on your phone, but let me know. It's around 350 pages around, and it is on Audible, and it's 15 hours on Audible. Danuka says, oh my God, I ran through mine the other day. It's hot and I'm in a sweat. You talking about the weather? Taylor says, I'm 4 chapters in. Karen says she's got the book. It's life-changing. Beautiful. So this book is premised on how you can recover your inner knowing, how you can claim your inner power. And the reason you suffer in your life is because somewhere you've given away your inner power. You've given away your inner knowing. And when you realize how you've given away your inner knowing, you get a little upset, you get a little angry, but it galvanizes you to not do this again, to really stay true to who it is you are. Because the only life worth living at the end of the day is your inner truth, a life based on your inner truth. Now, of course, family is lovely. And of course, friends are amazing. And of course, society is society. But society cannot overtake and abduct your mind. It cannot cut you off from your inner power. Society needs to be given its due respect, but kept in its lane. But what happens with us is because we have been raised unconsciously by our children, we are trained to look outside. And because we're trained to look outside, we become hungry for the outside. We replace the outside for the inside. So many people from Bhutan. Taylor says, this book has made me cry at least 5 times since starting. It's because it probably resonates with you. You feel like I'm talking about you. And that's what a personal transformation book is good for. It allows you to see yourself in the pages and shows you how you can transform your life. This book is a transformational book. It will rock you, it will shake you, it will ignite you, and it will remind you why you are here. You are here because you deserve to live your authentic truth. It is here to remind you about your purpose. Your true purpose is only one: to live your authentic truth. So the book is written as a journey. So on the side panel, it says, in her most personal and powerful book to date, New York Times bestselling author and renowned clinical psychologist, Dr. Shefali, guides women on a transformational journey to become who they were always meant to be. Fully present, whole, and free. You know, when I read the words that this book guides women to become who they were always meant to be, that's what I want for every woman, to become who you were always meant to be. And then the book describes, this book is about your awakening. It is an ode and an homage to your authentic self. The self that is waiting to be birthed anew. We all yearn to be free, yet we feel encaged in our daily lives, consumed by fear and unworthiness. What these pages promise you is a path out of the cage toward a new vision of yourself. So in this book, I share my own personal journey about how I thought I was so liberated and I thought I was so conscious, but really I was still trapped. And I talk about my traps and how those traps kept me stuck and how it wasn't anyone else's fault. Not my ex-partner's fault, not my parents' fault, not my child's fault. It was in my own psychology. that I was staying suppressed because I was filled with unworthiness. Dinuka says, through you I've learned out how to hold healthy boundaries. So you can get this book at your indie bookstore, at Barnes & Noble, at Amazon, on Kindle, audiobooks. So the book is divided into a journey. So the first part, there are 5 parts, and part 1 is called Asleep in the Matrix. It talks about how we have been brainwashed by our childhoods, by our culture, and we are all asleep. Part 2 is called Confronting the Shadow. And here I talk about how we all have archetypes within us. And these archetypes dictate our patterns and our behaviors. So once you identify your archetypes, you can begin to break free. Part 3 talks about reclaiming our sexuality. Da-da-da-da! For women to reclaim the beauty of their bodies and to learn to enjoy their bodies and to really celebrate their sex and their sexuality. Part 4 is called Cracking the Matrix. And here I talk about the lies that we've been told around love, around marriage and divorce, around sexuality, motherhood, beauty and youth, and niceness. And part 5 is the most radical part of the book, according to me. It's about awakening from the matrix. How do you make sacred boundaries? How do you embrace your sovereignty? How do you hold yourself accountable? How do you embrace your purpose and compassion? How do you reactivate the inner parent in you so that you're not hungry for mommy and daddy on the outside? How do you enter detachment? And how do you embrace your true self? We are the ones we have been waiting for. Yes, Rick, exactly. So this book is a welcome home journey. It's going to allow you to reclaim who you are. It's going to remind you that living in inauthenticity, hungry for somebody else to love you, is a waste of your entire life. If right now in your life you have somebody who isn't loving you the way you want, if there is somebody in your life who isn't honoring you the way you should be, if there's somebody in your life who keeps repeating dysfunctional patterns about you, understand that you are allowing it because it is familiar to you, because you treat yourself in that way. It is only when you wake up to how you treat yourself that you will wake up and change your dynamics. The reason in my life I allowed myself to be sometimes talked to or treated in a degraded way is because I believed those things about myself. When we don't believe those things and somebody says something that just doesn't resonate with you, you will walk on by. The reason we stay with people who treat us unworthy, who treat us less than how we should, is because somewhere that is a repetition of our childhood pattern. It has nothing to do with this outside person. It is a repetition of what you have experienced in childhood. I always say we repeat our emotional experiences. Sometimes it looks tall and blonde. Sometimes it looks fat and dark. Sometimes it looks like a job in Turkey. Sometimes it looks like a job in Afghanistan. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the wrapping of the person or the experience. The key for you to understand is that the emotional experience is being repeated. How you feel in the relationship is the repetition. Do you understand that? You are the repeating factor, not the outside person or job. So when you ask, why do people keep treating me badly? Don't ask that question anymore. Ask, why do I allow myself to be treated so badly? When we stick around someone who is treating us degradingly, shamefully, it is because we have some kind of archetype in our mind that allows us. We have a template. So many of us girls who are good girls and we want to be such rescuers and saviors, we keep missing all the signs. We keep allowing ourselves to be in crap because we are married to the image that we are good girls. So somebody's treating us badly, but we are addicted to being a good girl. So we're like, good girls don't say anything. Good girls don't talk about anything. Can you guys hear me okay? Somebody said that they can't hear my audio. So let me know if the video is okay. So yes, Linda, you can change your DNA through meditation. You can change your emotional experience by breaking the pattern. And how do you break the pattern? First, you have to be aware that you are in a pattern. Sometimes you're not even aware that you're in a pattern. And if you keep hearing yourself and keep realizing that you are complaining all the time and that you are upset all the time, that means you are in a pattern. I'm so content, but finding it hard to find enlightened, authentic men. Yes, all women. Because unless you go on a path of awakening, most of the people are asleep in the matrix. So this book is about waking you up. If it's come back, maybe it's better. So each one of us deserves to write a new story for ourselves. There is nobody out there who owns your story. There is no husband, no wife, no mother, no father to whom you need to live your life for. Not even your children. You need to live your life for your truth, to discover who you are. And if you don't discover who you are, you have wasted your life. Okay? Because once you discover who you are, you do something beautiful. You allow others to love and honor their own authentic self. And that is priceless. So this book is a wake-up call to enter your own truth. So somebody asked, what if someone's drug habit brings the worst out in you and you become the person you don't want to be? Then you walk away. It is so hard for us to release negative patterns because we don't think of ourselves as worthy. If you truly thought of yourself as worthy, you wouldn't even ask that question. You would realize that you are ingesting toxic fumes by being around a toxic person. Would you give your child toxic fumes? Would you give your child poisonous food? In the same way, don't give yourself that. So if you have someone in your life who is toxic, who is surrounding you and who is negative for you, and you are being less than your most powerful, biggest, elevated self, that means you need to take the poison away from you. You need to release, you need to walk away. But we think we need to save people. You cannot save people. There is nobody on the outside you can save unless they want to be saved themselves. If you are trying to save someone who doesn't want to be saved, that's not because they are bad. It's because you are sick within yourself to not see the clues that the person doesn't want to be saved. Because you are controlling how that makes you feel. You're not saving them because you love them. You're saving them because you can't accept that they cannot save themselves. So because you can't accept that they cannot save themselves, you're trying to save them and calling it love. No, true love is you try, but then you back off. You let people live their own destiny. You let people realize their own awakening. So this book is about you. And there's nothing to get bitter about when you can't change someone. You're not supposed to. If you don't like my book and you hit this book and break a window and you hit your head or whatever, I can't be upset with you because I know that only you can wake yourself up. I can't expect you to wake up. We can't expect anyone to wake up. We can give them the book, but they got to do their own work. And part of us trying to wake other people up is our own sickness, is our own delusion, is our own lack of acceptance of the big truth we don't want to see. So instead of seeing the painful truth that this person is toxic and maybe I need to leave, it's much easier for us to pretend that we can change them. You understand? It's such childish garbage. So anyway, I'm ranting and preaching. You have to take a course of mine if you want that. I don't think you want that on your social media today. So grab a copy of the book. Come and talk to Gabor and myself, Dr. Mate and myself on June 2nd. Go grab a book. Who's going to grab a book after listening to this talk? Grab a book for your sisters, for your mothers, for every single woman, because every single woman especially has the right to awaken. And some of you are saying reduce the price. Guys, I don't set the price. Amazon sets the price. The publishers set the price. I'm not setting the price. So books are books are books. It's a thick book. It's a hardcover. Grab it. It may change your life. It may change your life. And what if it's your child? What if your child is the toxic person? Well, after the age of 21, they're not really children. They're always your child, but you got to release them. Because part of your